Your dreams and thoughts better be so big that they better scare you. They better scare you.
Why?
Because you're not thinking big enough then. You don't want it. It has to be something that nobody else has thought about before or done before. The process it takes to be number one and stay at number one, you have no idea. You have an idea because you've been there. Everybody wants to sit in your seat until they have to sit in your seat. Very few people understand what winning and success does to an individual's mental health. Everybody thinks the more you win, the more successful you are. It just makes everything so much easier. And they don't understand the pressures that these individuals put on themselves.
I'm just the weird champion who's not like that, but I still am full of doubt all the time. And I've tried to find ways to believe I wouldn't have doubt. You know, I've tried to like talk in ways where I don't have doubt. I've tried to everything. And there's always just lingering doubt in my mind of being like, well, what if you don't? What if you can't? And it's just the truth of my mind. And regardless of that, over the past 5 years, I've still been able to perform, progress, and be the best in the world with that on my mind. So who's to say that I can't have that doubt on my mind while being a champion? There's no rules to it. That's why I've always said the champion mentality, the rules of being a champion, is that there are no rules. It's just whatever the champion does to win. That's it.
Because I made it my life's habit to develop this quality. I hope I've got it, but I don't know for sure. But the quality is to develop the quality of being unstoppable. Develop the quality of being unstoppable. Say in yourself that no matter what life throws at me, it'll never stop me. No matter how rough it gets, I will never quit. And nothing will ever stop me. Make the decision that you can be tired, you can be worn out, but nothing is ever going to stop you. That's a wonderful decision. Because then no matter what life throws at you, you pick yourself up. And you say, okay, give it, give it your best shot, as Fonzie says. Nothing is going to stop you. It's a wonderful feeling. It's a wonderful feeling. It's the basis.
This magic pill, they want to know the secret, but there is no secret. It's just hard work. But I think the thing that everyone who's listening lacks is the context on how hard work is, not in that it's complex, but just in that it's a continuous and unending focus on one thing and noticing the details that separate mediocrity from greatness. And if you're like, I don't know what the difference between those two things is, that is the opportunity that hard work reveals.
Sometimes a man who's not at peace is a man who was born to not fit in, but he's trying to shoehorn himself into a box or into a hole that he was never meant to fit in. And that might be you. All right, know who you are. Know if you're meant to walk shoulder to shoulder and line to line with a group of other men. And if you are, great, wonderful, do it, be the best at it. But if you're not, don't search for a destination. The trip is the destination. The journey is the goal. The journey is the goal.
Small details in the end of the day will make the big difference, in my opinion. So as you say, and I will keep repeat, the consistency is the most difficult thing.
Just doing it every day.
Yes, every day.
Do you ever wake up and you say, I don't want to do it today?
I fight against my mind. Yes, sometimes it's happened. We are all human beings. We are not happy every day. We are, not in a good mood every day. It's normal. It's part of us.
What do you do to overcome that?
I fight against that. It's the big challenge. It's when you're not willing to do something, but you have to do it. This is the main point. This is why I say our mind, it's a box of surprises, and you have to challenge yourself to be consistent. I repeat, sometimes it's hard. It's what many people say, you like to go to the gym every day. Of course, no. It's not true. Nobody likes to go to the gym every day. But you have to do it.
Take ownership. Take extreme ownership. Don't make excuses. Don't blame any other person or any other thing. Get control of your ego. Don't hide your delicate pride from the truth. Take ownership of everything in your world, the good and the bad. Take ownership of your mistakes, take ownership of your shortfalls, take ownership of your problems, and then take ownership of the solutions that will get those problems solved. Take ownership of your job, of your team, of your future, and take ownership of your life. Lead yourself and your team and the people in your life. Lead them all.
Something that's a personal curse that's difficult, think about it as the selection criteria that everybody has to get over. That's the reason why so few people are equanimous and actually have peace in their mind. Because meditation is hard and everyone thinks, am I doing it right? This kind of sucks and I'm twitchy and I'm tired today. Why are so few people in shape? Because going to the gym and sticking to the gym is difficult. Maybe it's a tiny bit easier for some people that like it than others, but for most people, most of the time, it's really, really hard. Thinking about the challenges that you need to face is just a selection criteria. The cost of doing business, right? This is just the cost of doing business, and I need to pay it.
We're not men because we face the battle and we get immediately victory every time a battle comes up. We're men because we face the battle and we stay in the battle when we feel like we're losing and we feel like we're getting beat up. But we stay in there and we keep fighting and we plant our feet and we say, until death do I part, this is me and I will fight this battle, regardless of what the battle is. Being tired is part of fighting. Go find one MMA fighter, one boxer, one combatant of any kind who's never tired, who never gets tired, who doesn't get so exhausted in the ring that he's just moving on guts alone. That's all he's got left is his guts. All they have left is the will to get back up again.
In life, folks, you cannot change your life unless you change something. If you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got. No matter what it is. Many times you say to yourself, I got to lose weight, I'm too fat. And then you know what? During the day you eat at night, and then next day you get mad at yourself. Well, what do you want? What do you want? You got to change something.
Everything worthwhile is uphill. And today's word is uphill. You see, every dream that you've ever had, it's all uphill. If you have a great relationship with somebody, you had to work on it. It's uphill. If you've built a wonderful business, guess what? It was uphill. If you've made the right decisions, they're not easy, are they? It's uphill. And the only way that you can go uphill is to be intentional. Nobody ever accidentally went uphill. You've never talked to a successful person and said, how did you get to the top of the mountain? And then look at you and say, I have no idea. If they're at the top of the mountain, they know how they got there.
You're blind to your own weaknesses, but you're also blind to your own strengths. And so then I think, well, if you got your act together, it'd be better for you. And instantly it would be better for your family, assuming they wanted you to get your act together. And not everyone does. And then it would be better for the community. It's like, how far could you take that? If you stopped wasting time and if you stopped lying and if you oriented yourself to the highest possible good that you could conceive of and you committed to that, how much good could you do? Well, I would say, why don't you find out? So that's what I think you should do. You should find out. You don't have anything better to do. And there's nothing in it, as far as I've been able to tell, there's nothing in it but good. Maybe you could sort yourself out so that you wanted nothing but the good. And then maybe you could help make that manifest in the world. And maybe we wouldn't have all these terrible problems then. At least we'd have fewer of them, and that would be a start. It's the answer to the problem of humanity is the integrity of the individual. That's the answer.
You have to lose your fear of failure. Failure is a part of the process. People who never fail, never try. You have to fail. You got to get it wrong to get it right. You learn nothing from winning. You only learn from your failures. Warren Buffett said he won't even invest in a person's business unless they failed in 2 other businesses. Because now you know what not to do. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing, man. I've overcome so many failures. I've failed more times than I've succeeded. That's, I tell you the truth, man. It's like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan took 949 game-winning shots. He only made 123. He's the greatest basketball player to ever live. He only made 123 game-winning shots. He took 949 of them. All you got to do is win some of the time.
Nobody cares about you is something that was never made clear to me. And I mean that in the most positive, optimistic, inspiring, motivating way. Like, I think that, especially if you see yourself as a creative or you want to exist on YouTube or as a filmmaker, or as a musician, or as an artist or a painter, or any of those things, like, you think that everybody's paying attention. And because of that, it kind of controls how you think. And even when I was young and fearless and nothing to lose, I was still so cognizant of, like, how are people going to react to this and what's the best way to do, like, I was so aware. And the reality is nobody gives a shit. Everybody is so focused on themselves in this world. Nobody has time for you. And the sooner you accept that as a creative person, the sooner you're free. Like, you're totally free. Like, do exactly what feels right to you. And if you can get yourself on that trajectory, then it goes back to what we were talking about before, about being novel, about being an original, about not being a photocopy of somebody who did something. If you're that photocopy, you will never be the original.
Everything comes from the imagination. Everything comes from, like, before this microphone was a microphone, someone somehow thought about it. You know, how can I speak into something that would amplify my voice and blah, 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 blah. And then this came out of it, and it's evolved over the years. But everything comes from the imagination. So the power of the mind, people don't understand. We still don't understand. I still don't understand how powerful it is. I'm still learning. But I know one thing is I can make things happen. I can go into levels, I just can't tell the world, but, like, there's levels that, like, I've manifested things that I'm just like, I still shock myself, like, how the f did I make that happen? And this is not even to do with fighting. This is to do with my personal life. And I'm like, I made that happen. And this is through this, like, manifesting subconsciously as well. Just years of something just manifesting, and boom, it's right there. I'm just like, I really made that happen. It's scary, man. It's scary for me to even think about.
When you set a dream and you say, this is what I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you make a plan, and the plans are good. But if you come to a certain point where there's a tree across the road or the bridge is out, you can't say, well, there goes my dream. You've got to be flexible. Well, what am I going to do? What adjustments am I going to make to be able to still get to where I'm going, to be what I want to be? You need some flexibility. You need discipline. You need personal discipline. There's times when you don't feel like doing what needs to be done to get this. But you got to say, feelings has nothing to do with it. This is my dream. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do the things that I don't feel like doing. I'm going to do the things I don't want to do. I'm going to do the things that don't come easy to me, that do not come natural to me. I'm going to get up and do it. You can't live your life on feelings.
You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that it's possible, because you can create your reality. The perception that you have of the world, if you think there's only scarcity, there's no opportunity, that's how you are going to interact with reality. If you think that there's abundance, if you think that there's opportunity, then these things will manifest themselves to you. So you have to believe that you can, right? And the way that you believe and the way that you can get to that state, because a lot of people are like, I have a lot of doubt. So do I. I have it all the time. Even if at these levels, right? You're doing 7-figure months. Dude, there's people doing 8-figure months. That's hard to fathom. That's hard to imagine. Yeah. But it's still possible. Yeah, of course. Is it difficult? Absolutely. But it's a mindset shift.
Start walking. You got to start walking, because the perspective's not going to change. You have to start moving forward. You have to start taking steps in order to improve your vision, improve your perspective, change your perspective, make some kind of progress. And worst case scenario, you figure out that you walked the wrong direction. Okay. Now you can go walk in the other direction. And that's going to be fine. But standing there lost and not doing anything, is just waiting to die, waiting to starve to death. Don't let that happen.
Unchosen suffering is going to happen in life. Your parents are going to pass away, loved ones are going to die, your relationships are going to break down, your body is going to fail you, you're going to become ill or sick or destitute. Things are going to happen that you have no control over. And the only way that you can prepare yourself for unchosen suffering is with chosen suffering.
Right.
You can elect to put yourself into a position to become a stronger alloy of whatever the metal is that you're made of. And by purposefully choosing difficult things, you will armor yourself against that situation. It's still going to suck, but think about how much more fragile you would be if you hadn't overcome all of this stuff. We spoke about this yesterday. Every single person that I know that is incredibly successful in a balanced way and has a good perspective on it elects to do very hard things regularly. It humbles them. It reminds them that they're just mortal. And it also means that if the entire mainstream media apparatus tries to come down on top of you, let's say, just as a hypothetical, let's say that occurs, that you can deal with it because you know that you've dealt with 1,000 disgusting kettlebell workouts followed by a cold tub.
We're the lucky ones. A point made by Richard Dawkins, more poetically than I can recite here. We're the lucky ones. We're the ones who get to die. Because you only get to die for having lived. Most people who could ever exist will never even be born. So no matter what your lot is in life, if you have a disease or you have cancer, you're crippled, whatever is the thing, at the end of the day, you're alive, not dead, nor not having ever been born. So take every occasion you can to smell the flowers, to drink in the sunsets and the sunrise and the majestic sky above you that they cradle through the nighttime hours, and celebrate life because you won the lottery.
Most people expect that the pencil wireframe that they do on their first shot is hard work because that's the hardest they've worked, not the amount of hard work that is required in order to get the level of outcome that they say they want or that they expect. And so there's a divorce in reality because they don't have the context from which to make a judgment because they've never been great at anything. And until you get great, because as soon as you get great at one thing, you realize just the tremendous amount of hours and work that it takes to be great at one thing. And then there's this ocean moment that I can express personally, which is you realize that there's so few things that you can be great at. And then the discipline comes down to saying, what are the 2 or 3 things that I can be really good at in my life? Because it will take me 5 to 7 years to be exceptional at this one thing.
If you stay in your comfort zone, that's where you will fail. You will fail in your comfort zone. Success is not a comfortable procedure. It is a very uncomfortable thing to attempt. So you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you ever want to be successful. Start putting some pressure on. Put some pressure on yourself. Get out here and get about it. Look, I'd love to sugarcoat this thing for you. I'd love to tell you, look, you can go out here and get rich, do a couple of things. That ain't happening. You got to get real doggish.
Every single person who wants to do something with their life and has done something with their life has gone through the exact chapter that you're going through. And it's the lonely chapter. It's the chapter where you don't fit in with your own friends, but you don't have the outcomes yet to fit into a new group of friends. And you're doing this thing, you're consuming content on the internet, you're doing these free tutorials online to try and figure out how to set up a podcast and where do I host this thing? And then you're going through this and you're like, is this even worth it? Because you have no signs of success, right? But if there's anything that you can take away from what we're saying right now is that the sign of success is the hate that you get along the way. And what you can't do is bend the knee to their hate and fit back into the conformity because it's comfortable and it's warm. Because like in the Matrix, when Trinity opens the door, when Neo's about to go take the red pill and he wants to get out of the car, she says, Neo, you've been down that road and you know exactly where it leads.
If you decide to be rich today, who gonna stop you? Who? If you decide you want to be rich, All you got to do is start. Why not? Who gonna stop you? Unless you tell it to the wrong person. Mama, listen to me. I'm going to be rich. Anybody rich in this family? Go in there and sit down somewhere. Get yourself a good job. Oh, mama, you must be right. No, mama could be wrong. Because what you have in your imagination, God didn't show it to your mama. I'm sorry. He showed it to you. Listen to me. If y'all don't do nothing else, write everything you imagine down. Write it all down and watch what happens.
So the goal was to be the first one at breakfast. So I set my alarm. I make sure I'm up by sunrise. I get out of bed. I put on my gear and I head downstairs. But when I get there, Kobe's already there with ice packs on his knees, drenched in sweat. Now, it took me a minute to figure it out, but this guy wasn't only awake before me. He had already worked out. He had just played in the finals days earlier. Meanwhile, I'd been off for months and I was still exhausted. What he had done that morning was incomprehensible to me. That dedication he had only days after falling short of an NBA championship. That taught me something I've never forgotten. Legends aren't defined by their successes. They're defined by how they bounce back from their failures. And that's what I hope to communicate to anyone watching this.
You know, there's been so many times where I've been in a prep and I felt way too far behind to win. And I had an injury last year when I tore my lat, tore my bicep. I was in the hospital, like all these different things going on. And I'm like, there's no way that I can do this. Like, it's impossible. And if I were to ever ask myself in the past, like, do you think you could win or get through this and do this? I'd be like, no way, it's impossible. But I was in it and I did it and I accomplished it. And I was like, I'm capable of so much more than my mind understands. And I think that's just the greatest part of the journey that I've achieved, is like that understanding of what I'm capable of and that belief in myself to what I can accomplish. And it only came through the journey. It didn't come through the winning. It came through the challenge that came along the journey and coming through it and fighting through it, and the beauty of all that. And on top of that, there's just been so many moments in the midst of things where, like, it's a workout or it's a diet or I'm starving or I'm just, like, doing check-ins or something, and I'm just like, this is incredible. Like, I'm peak condition in the world right now, fighting to be the best in the world.
There's no security in life, only opportunity. Life is very perverse in a way, because the more we seek security, the less we have it. And the more we seek opportunity, the more we have security. Helen Keller said this beautifully. She said, life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. That the tendency, she said in the earlier parts of this statement, she said the tendency to seek security is the low road to failure. That courage is absolutely essential. And one of the things that I used to think that if you were really courageous, eventually you got to the point where you weren't afraid. I'm going to tell you something, that if you're not a little bit afraid, at least 3 or 4 nights a week, you're not trying hard enough. If you're not falling on your face over and over again, if you're not trembling when you go to sleep with your heart pounding, then what is happening is you're not trying hard enough. You're living too far within your potential. That all really successful people live on the outside edge of what they're capable of. And it's always a little bit scary on the outside edge, because we all have feelings of uncertainty. We all have fears. We all have doubts that hold us back. But the brave person is simply the person who moves forward and keeps taking the chance. And you cannot imagine a successful person without courage. You cannot imagine a successful person without the courage to face and confront their fears and to move forward.
400 trillion to 1. When you understand that math, how can't you live your life? That's how rare it is to be a human being. And what are you waiting for? Like, you've been given this ridiculous triple miracle. Like, you're literally more likely to win the lotto 10 times in your life than actually have a life. So I ask you, my friends, with this one life, you're going to sit on your couch and dwell? You're going to be upset about some shortcoming? You're going to be upset about that thing that happened last week that you up? I'm asking you, I'm promising you, please take this swing. Make this at bat. I am so tired of people stopping because their uncle critiqued them, or their mom made fun of them along the way, or their girlfriend doesn't think that they can do it. You've got one at bat, 400 trillion to 1. Please do something about it. We are living through the greatest era to be alive ever. Yes, there's stuff. I got news for you. There's always stuff. But when you take control of your at-bat, when you put it all on yourself, when it's your fault and your wins, when you own it, that's when it starts happening.
You cannot let a fear of failure or a fear of comparison or a fear of judgment stop you from doing what's going to make you great. You cannot succeed without this risk of failure. You cannot have a voice without the risk of criticism. And you cannot love without the risk of loss. You must go out and you must take these risks. Everything I'm truly proud of in this life has been a terrifying prospect to me. From my first play, to hosting Saturday Night Live, to getting married, to being a father, to speaking to you today. None of it comes easy. And people will tell you to do what makes you happy. But a lot of this has been hard work. And I'm not always happy. And I don't think you should do just what makes you happy. I think you should do what makes you great. Do what's uncomfortable and scary and hard, but pays off in the long run. Be willing to fail. Let yourself fail. Fail in the way, in the place where you would want to fail. Fail, pick yourself up, and fail again. Because without this struggle, what is your success anyway? Look, as best we know it, we have one life. In it, you have to trust your own voice, your own ideas, your honesty, your vulnerability. And through this, you will find your way. You do not have to be fearless. Just don't let fear stop you. Live like this as best you can, and I guarantee you will look back on a life well lived.
The discipline of patience, the thing that goes beyond hustle and hard work, right? Because we all talk about hustle, we talk about working hard, we talk about grinding, this, that, and the third, but nobody talks to you about patience. Nobody speaks about that patience, because in the patience, that's where you're going to make it or you're going to break, right? The discipline of patience from going too soon. The discipline of patience from rushing people to the wrong conclusion. The discipline of patience, right? Because when you're not patient, you can make a lot of mistakes, man. Like I told you, the quote said, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap. You judge each day by the seeds that you sow, right? When you sow a seed, you got to be what? Oh, you got to be patient.
We all got the gift. There's something that we've all been blessed with. At some point, if we listen to that fucking little thing that speaks to us inside, some people call it instinct. Some people call it a vibe. Some people call it an energy. Whatever the fuck you call it. Some people call it a voice. Whatever that thing is, bro, if it sparks the thought that changes the whole trajectory to what your life can evolve into because you took a second to listen to that shit, you are identifying with your blessing. You are identifying with your gift. And at that point, you learn what the fuck it is and become one with it and walk in your purpose, bro.
Trial and error. You know, you grow up and you make game-winning shots and it's awesome. And you come back the next day and miss a game-winning shot and it's misery. And then the next day comes and you're back playing again. And you understand that life has this cyclical nature where it's, you know, what you do on Monday is fantastic, but then Tuesday is a bad day. But guess what? There's Wednesday.
Yeah.
So are we just supposed to live our lives like this the whole time? You know, versus just staying like this and understanding that it's really just a journey of evolution every day. It's just constant improvement, constant curiosity, constantly getting better. The results don't really matter. It's the figuring out that matters.
Yeah. And we all get obsessed about the results.
Yeah.
Like we get obsessed about like the output.
Yeah.
Not the input of not figuring it out.
Stop listening to the normality of life and everyone saying the way it is the way it's going to be for you. The way it is for you is blood, sweat, and tears today to create a foundation of strength for tomorrow. Those days combined into whatever dream you want to be a reality. We are always fighting for that edge, always fighting for that opportunity. So it's not past, it's not missed, but lived. We're not gonna cry about those opportunities. We're gonna smile, remember them, and thank God they came because we were ready when they came. You won't be ready if today isn't pushed with the strenuous nature and the pressure of the moment in the future that everything rides on. That stress of everybody on you and it's a make or break moment in your life must exist today with no one watching. If that's ever gonna happen your way, you need that X factor. You need that leg up.
you only start really liking stuff when you get good at it, in my opinion. And you only get good at it by doing it a lot of times before you're good at it. And so this is why I'm a big believer in this, is that when you are starting out, I think you got to find the thing that's the pain. And like, pain motivates significantly faster and stronger than pleasure does. Like, people are like, no, passion's the right way. It's like, point a gun at a family member, all of a sudden 10 out of 10 motivation, pain. And so like, I think people should use their pain more. And if they don't have enough pain, then one, maybe that's fine. And you're a dreamer and that's okay. But I will tell you that a word that I read in my like 6-month journey between when I wanted to quit and when I actually quit, there was this word that just like pissed me off. And it was this in this self-help or entrepreneur book. And it said, there are entrepreneurs and there are wantrepreneurs. And I was like, and it was like, wantrepreneurs are people who read these books and don't do anything. Blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I don't want to be one. I was like, I am one of these right now. And it just like felt so powerless.
As you get older, you don't hear it anymore because you're hearing all the other voices. You're hearing your voices of your parents, the teachers, the culture around you, your peers, your friends, telling you this is what's cool, this is what's not cool. And that little voice comes completely drowned out. And so you don't know who you are anymore. And you're afraid, particularly young people today. I mean, maybe it's always been that way, are so afraid of being different. They're so afraid of being odd. But look at all the powerful people in this world. Look at your Elon Musks. Look at your celebrities in entertainment, in business, in politics. They're one of a kind. They have like, I hate that word, but it's like a brand. They're different. They stand out for something that's truly different. You know, even Albert Einstein, there's nobody else like Einstein. There's nobody like Da Vinci. Okay? That's where your power lies. And you'll go, oh, but Robert, those are people that were brilliant, that were talented. I'm not like that. I don't have that. Well, bullshit. You do have that. It's just you're forgetting about it and you don't want to put the effort into it.